right, good evening, everybody. We got something new going on. We started like this NFL weekly review thing, like towards the end of this past NFL season, and it was fun. But we're gonna try to be a little bit more adult with it and have some structure and things of that nature. So, welcome to NFL Ruckus. It's a place where Justin and I have been talking about. Justin has a lot of different conversations with literally everybody that you see on screen here. Uh, so, what we're gonna do is just kind of bring these conversations kind of to life in front of you guys, but not all the way because those conversations usually end up taking hours or days, depending on the exchanges of information. So, Justin, I want to go ahead. I know you talked about a little bit before we went live. Talk about the process you have kind of with everybody here when you're seeing a prospect or taking one in and kind of figuring out how you go through your process to get to the desired result of this is what I think of player A versus player B.
Well, the evaluation process I kind of go through is, you watch the games and you kind of get a feel for a player. You'll take some notes, but the thing I do it a lot with basically with all you guys is you question everything. You want, instead of putting someone on a pedestal and leaving them there, you kind of want to tear someone off the pedestal. Okay, hey, he struggles with this. How come this works? How come this doesn't work? And I think by asking questions to different people, different viewpoints, and that kind of helps you get a what we call a 360-degree view of a player. And we got the three guys that I spend a lot of time talking to, and we kind of just all look at things from a different angle. And I mean, that's what we're trying to accomplish with this is me and Justin Gamble, we kind of do a lot of deep dives and go a certain way. Ray's like my guy where I go to and hit him blind with a question, and he hits me with some answer I've never thought of. And it's like fixes my view of the game. And me and Wilson, my wife thinks we fight on the phone all the time because we're yelling at each other, but it's just deep conversation. And it's just to get to the bottom of the player, because that's the ultimate goal as a team is to you have your team around you and everyone has their purpose. You know what I mean? So you get a good view of a player and you break them down from scratch, and now you hand it over to a team, and now they make a selection based off of what their needs are. So our job really is just to paint a perfect view of a player, good and bad.
All right. So again, the reason for this pod, just to piggyback on what Justin Walsh was just saying, discussing NFL prospects without bias, while establishing that there's no such thing as a perfect prospect. Because some of y'all on Twitter love to throw these wonderful things out like it's a perfect prospect and generation this. Stop it. Breathe. You do this every year. It must be exhausting, and you exhaust me. Please take a deep breath. Relax. If they're generational, we'll find out. I don't know. Say through the course of their career. Then we can look back and be like, they were generational. But going into it, I gotta relax, man. You can't have the same energy every year and then be all types of wrong. And we just rinse, wash, repeat. So we're gonna try to avoid that type of thing here. And then the other thing is, while discussing where the players projected, we also kind of want to factor in team building for those fits. Because that's something I feel like a lot of people leave out is, oh, player A is here on my board. And yeah, they could be there on your board, but if you take that and look at where teams are actually drafting, a lot of people go lower than they should or higher than they should, depending on what a team needs, what they prioritize. So again, there's no one size fit all when you do this. There's so many different variables that get ignored, which is why mock drafts are what they are. It's an exercise. It's fun. Again, that's why seldom people are like 80 or 90% correct on them, because there's so many different variables that we can't possibly know because we're not in each and every building in the NFL. The position of the day today is wideouts. We got 5 wideouts to discuss. Jamar Chase from LSU, Seth Williams from Auburn, Rashad Bateman from Minnesota, Cornell Powell of Clemson, and Diami Brown of UNC. We're going to start with Justin Gamble. We're going to play some Jamar Chase tape and just talk about what you like about him, and we'll just see where the conversation goes from there.
Right. And I've never seen these clips, so bear with me. Well, I think I have. I've seen Ruckus made them, but I've never talked about him as I saw them. But one thing I like about Chase is, the first thing you love about Chase is, like, he jumps off the screen with how physical he is. He jumps off the screen with, like, the big boy catches he's making. And after the catch, you can see right here, like, this dude doesn't go down. He's a lot like, kind of like a Sammy Watkins in that sense of just, he's physical. He'll run straight at people after he makes that catch. He's explosive from a standstill. That's one thing I look for. I have a bias towards guys that are explosive. Like, they can go from standing still to getting upfield, north-south. And I like that about him. that, no matter where he's at on the field, he's going to take it and he's going to get yards. And not only because he's fast, but because he's just so natural with the ball in his hands and he knows how to find space. I'm like, he's manipulating defenders. The hard part with Chase is he's not super big. He doesn't separate that well in his routes. His routes are kind of inefficient. There's a lot of times where I'm confused what he was reading. Like, he doesn't read the leverage of the defender. He doesn't operate in short as well. His feet get kind of clunky. And then getting off press, I think me and Ruckus had talked about this. Like, he'll take freaking haymakers trying to get off press. It's odd. He doesn't really have a plan for how he's going to approach the quarterback's jam. And I think the hard part with Chase is he's being talked about as this generational prospect. And that's insane to begin with. But he's also not a guy who wins quickly. Like, if you're going to put him at X, he's going to be on the line of scrimmage. He's going to be facing top corners. He doesn't win fast. There's so many times where, it's like 3 seconds and he's finally muscling the dude off of him and then he's open. But if you need someone to win fast, it's probably like a Devontae Smith in this class, someone who is so slippery and doesn't let hands get on him. But Chase ain't that guy. I think, I think Chase's 40 time was a little interesting. I don't think anyone expected that, and maybe it's a little inflated because of the pro day stuff. But I think he wins. He has that third gear downfield where you see him completely even with someone, but the ball's in the air, and that's when he's leaving. That's when he takes off. He has that like acceleration, and he accelerates well over the middle field, like through windows and stuff. But he's not a natural separator yet. He's not a natural win quickly guy. That's the hard part about him, because where do you project that? You put him in the slot at first. Do you think he can work his way into becoming that X receiver? And probably his traits are. The dude's gifted. It's just to say let's take him top 5 and throw him as your number 1 receiver because that's what you do with a top 5 guy. That's a tough projection for me with Chase.
He's a tough one, mainly just because I don't think he really knows what he's doing yet. Like, I think he's winning off of physical ability, and I think early on I was just like, man, how is this guy getting jammed so much? I mean, he's just catching jams like disgusting, and he's kind of carrying the defender downfield, but he's so competitive to attack the ball or, to run with the ball. You see how physical he is, but he's like almost miscast. Like, he should be a 6'3", 215-pound guy, but he's a 6 foot, 200-pound guy. But the one thing that separates him is just the way he attacks the ball in the air. Like, he goes after I don't even know how many we saw, but like we said, he'll lose the beginning of the route, but when the ball's in the air, he finds a way to attack it and make some plays on the ball that you just shouldn't be able to make at that height. So we talked about.
What do you?
Oh, go ahead. Yep, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking about earlier today when we were talking about Chase. Is like he's almost like Cortland Sutton coming out of college, because Sutton couldn't get off press, and he didn't really separate ever until it was like the ball was in the air or it was way downfield. Only problem is Sutton's 6'3", or whatever, and Chase is 6 feet. And like Chase has the traits to improve on it, but it's just interesting. Like you said, he's been miscast, and he'll lose even in the Clemson game when he beat AJ Terrell. He beat him on a few reps that were big and made the perception of that game seem different. But you could watch. You and me were sending clips back and forth. Dude, there were some reps where he didn't get off press. He didn't go anywhere. Terrell just ruined him. And, the play went elsewhere, or Marshall made a big catch, or someone else made a big catch, and it was swept under the rug. But when you study him rep for rep, snap for snap, you're like, oh, shoot, this dude's losing a lot more than I thought he was. But then he'll make that huge downfield catch, and you forget about it. But that's the thing. He's not going to get to the NFL and suddenly be a master at getting off press and learning how to separate in short areas. He's got some room to grow, and he's got some serious inexperience. I don't know the word for it, where he just needs a lot more reps to figure out like how he's going to win at his size and his speed versus a guy that's 6'3", 6'4", because that's not him.
I think you guys kind of just during that brief discussion kind of took care of in terms of how he wins and the area of concern, which is literally at the snap of the ball, right? So with that said, what do you guys think about in terms of how versatile he is for as far as the scheme goes, especially initially? Like, obviously, like you guys mentioned, there's room to grow. But if you were a team that got your hands on him initially with some of the things you were worried about, what would you do with him initially as he works on those other things?
Get him away from the jam. Keep him away from the jam.
Go ahead, Ray.
Let me. The question I was having is because you both were talking about the way he wins. He doesn't win fast, and you're not really sure about the way he wins yet. But do you guys both agree that he's a winner? Do you agree that if the ball is in the air, that he is going to be able to make the play? I noticed that over the highlights that you guys were showing, 60 to 70% of them were inside routes. So like the coaching staff seems to trust him inside in the middle of that traffic. Is that something that's just from these highlights, or is that something that you guys see, following his career at LSU?
I think he's more like a lot of his wins. Actually, he wins outside on fades and some in breaking routes.
Yeah.
And they really
Okay.
don't run a lot of routes. Like
Okay.
They basically put him on one side of the field, and the other side was running combinations. He's like me versus you, and if he gets 1-on-1, Joe Burrow's throwing him the ball. If he gets double coverage, they're going the other side of the field. Like that was their offense last year. That's simple, simplified. And then, hate to say it, the more you watch it, you're like, I realize, I'm like, man, Burrow's arm is really bad. So when you get to see how well he adjusts to the ball, you're like, man, you don't get those opportunities unless you get some bad passes thrown to you. Like I didn't realize that. I'm like, man, this guy's athletic. But
the question I have for you guys, though, we may not like the way that he wins, but do you guys feel like he wins enough?
Yeah, and I think he's gonna win a lot more. Like he's not a guy that lacks traits. It's not like he's losing to because he's just physically mass. He's losing because he's kind of a dummy right now. Like he's going up to the line of scrimmage, and you can see him trying to get off press, dude. He's just like I don't know, like he's getting beat up. But I think if he gets some technique, like if a wide receiver in the NFL shows him what he's doing, it might take him 1 or 2 reps where he's like, "That I got it. Like I got it. This is it. I'm done." And like I was thinking about it because I played DB my entire life, and I would rather face Devontae Smith than Jamar Chase because Ruckus told me one like Jamar Smith will steal your soul in the game. Like he'll let you know he's murdering you, and he will continue to do it, and he's just a bully. Whereas like Devontae Smith, you can try maybe and like understand you need a very technical approach. With Jamar Chase, he's kind of a wild card. Like if I was a DB, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with him. I can try and jam him, but if he ever beats your jam, like he's gone. He's gone. And if you could stay with him, and he's gonna outmuscle you, he's gonna somehow find a way. Like he's just that guy where you're like, he wants it so much, and I need to want it every single snap, the whole game, or else he's gonna take it from me. And I mean, those guys are hard to play against. Those guys are the guys like Dez Bryant that will win no matter what. Those guys are so tough, dude. And I think he would just be an opponent where like DBs are getting sick of playing him, even if they're beating him up for the whole first half. That second half, like he's bringing it again. You didn't do anything to his psyche. He's coming after you. And I think the traits are there to win. I just think he needs more reps. He needs more coaching, and he needs like I said, the LSU offense was so simple. You watch him; they didn't make him do a whole lot of stuff. Just run fades, run slot fades, run some digs here and there. But it was a lot of just we're going to throw you the ball and you're going to get it. You know what I mean?
Right. Remember another thing we had talked about. Remember we were saying how he feels more comfortable with the defender on him. Like you know what I mean? Like I know it's time to push off now. Like as opposed to
he's looking for like someone to come after him so you can like, all right, here we go.
Right. When he doesn't know where you are, it's like now I got to be concerned. But if I have you next to me, I can push off in the ball. But I mean, I don't know if we got to that question yet. But the thing was fit. Like for me, Miami scares me because Tua's not throwing that ball. Burrow has the confidence to throw that ball because cover's covered. Like if I look at covered, if I see him running step for step with a corner, Tua's moving to his next option. Joe Burrow thinks has a different arm, so he's making that throw. So there are different kinds of quarterbacks. I didn't mean to attack Burrow, but there's different kinds of quarterbacks in the league. You know what I'm saying? So there's different levels of open. You know, some guys think open is college open, NFL open. So I'm gonna go back shoulder. I'm just gonna put it up, and I know he's gonna go get it. Or just the Alabama receivers versus LSU receivers. You know, that's the difference. Is so where you go plays a major part. So some guys like, okay, he quick release, he's open, I'm going there. As opposed to slow release, wait. You know what? I trust my guy, I'm throwing it. You know?
Yeah.
And again, you get burnt one time, you might not go back to that. And I think that's That's the fit part that you have to think about instead of just saying chase receiver 1, he's going here. You got to think of the team you have when this happens.
If he's on my team, I think he's a Z. He's like a movement Z. He's a slot. I want him to attack windows and catch the ball because, like, you can see from those clips, like from a standstill, he's so explosive and he's so dynamic after the catch. Like, I want the ball in his hands. That's just to put him at X and say, now we're going to get the ball in his hands consistently. That's going to be harder than you think at first. He'll probably grow into it, but I think he's an odd fit. He's an odd receiver because he's probably going to go top 5, but he's not a guy you can just throw at X his first year. And that's normally not what you'd say about a top 5 guy, but I think his upside is so high, you're going to do it. You're going to take it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But like that's the fun part with almost all these position groups this year in the draft. It's like you guys said, you got a bunch of guys with elite traits, but there's something that's just a little bit off. Like you guys said, if he had his release game straight, he's wide receiver 1, and no one's thinking anything about anything here because you're like, you don't want any problems with him once he gets off the line. Like once he gets off, you're in trouble. Ball's in the air, it's not yours, it's his. But you got a chance if you keep him from getting off, right? So that's the biggest thing is like you guys said, the fit. And honestly, I'm looking at obviously with the fit, how whatever team that selects him, how well they do with wide receivers. Because it's not a hard fix. You tighten up his release game, man, you got a problem on your hands. If you're a team that takes him, like Justin said, you got a quarterback that's kind of scary. Like, I don't like 50-50 balls. You wasted the top 10 pick.
Yeah.
And then folks going to get mad at Chase. When it's not his fault, he's like, I'm used a certain way. I can't help that old boy scary. Like, throw me the ball.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? Throw me the ball. All right, so before we move off Chase, I just want to ask you guys possible comp or projection for one Jamar Chase.
This is you, Ruckus. I don't want to start this one.
But we actually had this discussion this weekend, so I don't want to speak for you, but I'm gonna speak for you and pass it to Ray. So we're gonna go. We went back and forth between I said a bigger Steve Smith, and he went Des Bryant. And being a Cowboy fan, Ray, get in there.
I would.
Like they had a baby.
I would lean more for a bigger Steve Smith. What I found just listening to you guys' conversation and a little bit of tape that we had, I think we all agree he got dog in him, and I think that's more Steve Smith. Dez is just a unique character. It's hard to kind of put a. I get it, but I think it's more of a Steve Smith type of thing.
I think it's like Dez at the catch point. Dez at the catch point.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I like the Steve Smith thing, because I was like, he plays bigger than Steve did, but he's not as big as Dez is. So Dez did things just straight up because he was bigger. Like he was able to just F people up, and I don't think Chase has that size to do that. But
you see that dog in both of them. That's you see that dog. It jumps out. So I completely agree.
Yeah. I like that.
All right.
And I think that 4.38 kind of solidified a little bit of like, all right, we can compare him to fast people now. You know what I mean?
I think everyone in the South ran a 4.38 this year though. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Low key.
Right. Coach O was going to cut across the field, and they had a timer. That's like,
Oh man. All right. So I like those comps. I think where I was gonna go with it, and it's not a true fit, but in terms I'm with you guys with at the catch point. It was like he's the only thing is like you guys say with the weight, he's not as big as dude, but he's Anquan to me with more giddy up.
Yeah.
He could just like Anquan was able to get in and out of his routes, and you already know once he got the mitts on it, that was it. It wasn't, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't up for question. It's mine, not yours. It's just me. Doesn't matter. And I don't want to think. I'm not thinking about Anquan after the Cardinals. Like when he came in the league, before he gained 12 or 15 pounds. Yeah, he had a little mean wiggle to him. So that's kind of where I'm at, and it's sticking with where you guys are. Like between Steve and Dez, just that kind of that sweet spot, at least to me, where he's a dog at catch point, probably more wiggle than you think. Because like you said, Justin G, a lot of people are like, oh my God, 4-3. But at the same time, it's like, I was surprised for 4-3. I probably believe it might be like 4-4-1 or something. But we've seen him outrun angles after the ball. So like it's not like he's slow. You got to be fast to outrun angles. And we've seen him sometimes on the field. He can get out.
He's just a competitor, I think. Like even just watching their highlights. He didn't really look like he knew where he was going. Like, he caught the ball and was just running. And you're like, you're running left. Like he just caught the ball and ran directly across the field instead of like, that one cut and get upfield. He's just a player. Like I think until someone actually shows him how to play football, but when you're better than everyone else, it's like, how do I coach someone when they're like, you're better than everybody already? So, it's going to be this. His ceiling is so high. I think that's what's missed. People are missing.
It took us a while to come around on him. Like for a little bit, we were not low on him, but we were like, I don't like how high can we really put this guy? Like he's not winning, but then like we did it with AJ Brown too. Like we started low, then we came on him. Then we were like, well, Twitter's they're hating on him, and then we kind of circled back and like found our mid ground. But I think we've kind of come around to like we understand that he has all these weaknesses and these flaws to his game, but they're so improvable. Like he can get coached on them. The traits are there, the tape is there, the production's like he has it all. It's going to take a little bit of time. It might only take like one season, and then he's just a game record. But I think it's interesting to see a guy that's probably going to go top 5, and you're like, he's limited, but here's what it is.
Yeah, and the other thing, just to move on and keep in mind, just across sports right now, it's going to be like this for a couple years, where folks aren't complete as they polished as they would have been. Like you got a top prospects like this. Like you want to talk about somebody who needed another year of college football for like the little things. Jamar Chase needed it so bad. And I don't mean that in a negative way for anybody that's here, because people get emotional at times about things like that. Like I think he's outstanding, but another year of fine-tuning the little things. Maybe we're at this point right now. Like, look how much his release improved.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's easy, almost that's a whole different discussion now. Because now we're not questioning where he gets drafted. It's, damn, if he got that better in 1 year, imagine what a year NFL coaching does.
Wilson,
we arrived at that because of that. So
Wilson, you keep giving these caveats when you give like opinions about. I don't feel like y'all saying anything crazy. Do y'all Twitter be like going bananas on you? Like,
yes.
Because Wilson not saying anything crazy. He's like, yeah, another year of school would have gave him better habits. Like, I don't think that's like, yeah. They go crazy on you.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah. There's not. I mean, it sounds bad, but there's not a lot of real football. Because like, if you've been around like real sports and real football, like you get like coaches are mean to you, evaluators are mean to you, players are mean. Like you're allowed to say stuff like this with like football people, but like I think Twitter's pretty emotional, man, and you could say the most basic
maybe that's
thing,
why, because I'm like, he literally said 1 more year of development would have helped him, but he put like a big caveat, like, hey, don't go crazy. And I'm like, really?
He's ready, bro. He's got the shields up.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey.
I mean, I also don't care, but I know it's coming. It's just people ignore the whole part of you said something good about him. This would help him. Oh, why are you bashing Chase?
Yeah.
You're right.
Improve your one weakness. You hate him. Yeah.
I can't stand the kid. Guarded me wishing and hoping he gets better. Silly me. All right. Justin W., it's your turn. It's Seth Williams. So let's get it.
All right.
Just clip up for you.
Seth Williams, he's a weird prospect. Like sometimes you watch him and I'm thinking this is the next big NFL receiver. Makes tough catches, size, and sometimes he looks fast, and then sometimes he's sluggish. But Auburn runs a weird offense, so maybe it is motivation. I hate to go straight here, but there's this game of J.C. Horn made a name off of one game against Williams, and I watched it last night and realized Williams didn't really run one route. Like it was just kind of a bunch of bad comebacks and hook routes. So it's just the offense. It's a bad offense, but he's a 6'3", 220 pounds, and I mean at the catch point, he's flexible. He can make tough catches. He can shows the ability to run after catch. So I mean, there's a chance he could be Cortland Sutton, but then there's a chance he could be every tall guy that's failed. So I mean, so there's like it's a wide range, and he showed all those people. If you watch the tape, if depending on who you're talking to, if you watch the right game, you know, you think you got Alshon Jeffrey coming out, and you watch the wrong game, and you think you have Alshon Jeffrey now. So I mean, it's a wide, what's the word? I don't know, wide range of who he could be, but there's definitely a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent there, though. This is Justin's guy, though, so I'll let him have it.
I mean, he's like that's the thing. When you watch that game and you finally texted me and you were like, bro, he hasn't run a route, and I was like, thank you. Like they're just basically telling him to like go in this 10 to 15 yard area and maybe figure out a way to get the ball. And then Nix isn't really good, so Nix never really got him the ball. And like the South Carolina game, he beat it. What was it? J.C. Horn was covering him out of a side shuffle. He gave a little stutter out and then went upfield. I mean, he has Horn beat by like 12 yards, and then the ball's super underthrown. He goes up and gets it in a completely contested situation. But there were so many times on tape where he's never getting the ball, and I'm watching him run past corners. Like he has the build-up speed. And it just felt like we watched a guy who is so gifted, and we don't really know what caliber of player he is still. Like he could be N'Keal Harry, or he could be a Mike Williams similar type. And there's just no way to know based off the offense that he was in. But like his good reps are so good that I don't know, they just get your hopes up because some of the reps I'm watching, I'm like, that's the fast guy rep. You don't do that unless you're fast. And then there's other reps where I'm like, he's so average today.
He looks like a number one receiver. Yeah. He looks like a prototype number one receiver.
But is he fool's gold or is he like a real thing? And that's a nice that catch away from his frame, that adjustment, man. That's one of those reps where you think, dude, we found our X. Like he might not burn everybody downfield, but we found our guy that's gonna make the tough catches while we have the speedy guy on the other side and we have our slot. And I don't know, man. That he was a frustrating evaluation for me.
Yeah, definitely.
It's tough
and
because it's tough though because I don't pay me no attention. It's tough though because I know Justin has a blind spot for aggressive receivers. He likes receivers that he feels like earns the yards. And I don't know. I mean, it's highlights, but it's just that I think the thing that jumped off of the first highlights we were watching is just that dog. There's a little bit of finesse in this gameplay that we're seeing right now. And I think you guys are trying to figure out whether it's like just skill and he's just pretty, or is there a little bit of not dog there? But I know that, and I'm around Justin all the time, so maybe I have a blind spot to it too, but more physical receivers it makes more sense to us for some reason. Like we can analyze it, make sense of it, find a place for it more.
And they're hard to play against too, you know?
Yeah.
Well, because they're football players. Like you don't feel like you're watching a guy who's only comes out there with his little towel. He stretches by himself. Like
I didn't say that. He did. I didn't say that.
Like, the divas.
I didn't say that. He did.
You play both sides of the ball. Like you're a football player. Like hand me the ball. Like we love Debo Samuel. We love those type of football players. Not guy that's like whatever. Waving.
And like a part of me wonders too, like playing sports, your whole life, and like I've played on teams, football and hockey, where things are so bad around you. There's certain reps where you're just like, dude, I don't have it in me right now. And it sucks to say that because like as a competitor, you should never say that. But part of me wonders, like just like with Terrace Marshall, where sometimes I'm wondering, like, is it worth it for him right now? Because like their offense wasn't a real offense. It didn't have a real passing game. Rarely were they running real concepts. Rarely was he running real routes. Rarely did he even get the ball when he should have. And I wonder, like, was there ever a point where he's losing reps that he probably could have won had he been more focused or thought the payoff was worth it? And I don't, that sounds horrible. And no coach is going to take a guy that's like, he doesn't care. But I mean, there's something to be said about that when you're on a bad team. As a receiver, you can't give 100 every rep when you're like, dude, the ball's not coming to me this time. Like, it's not coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's some reps in that South Carolina game where, it said, what was it? He caught 1 out of 11 versus Horn. And I watched him go for a pass. The quarterback ran around the circle and then just threw it at him. And like, I get a stat for that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, right.
I get a loss for that. Why'd you throw me the ball? So
yeah,
right. Like, okay, that's 0 for 3. And you're like, no, I didn't do nothing yet. You know what I mean? I think you can see the frustration. Like, I probably went for the tunnel. Like, listen, you killing my draft stock, man. So maybe,
right?
Maybe we should credit him for not opting out. So I mean, you don't want to say that, but I mean, they're people. They're people. At some point, enough's enough. It is a physical game. I can't get hurt. And
True.
you're out here doing whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
And winning awards, like so. I don't know. It's interesting, but again, his highs are high.
Yeah.
And you don't want to explain away the lows, but like that's part of what scouting is you're saying this is what he could be. This is what he has this in his toolbox. Now, can we bring it out of him? And I think, and again, another question maybe for everyone, for all you guys is this type of player like not today's game? How does he fit in today's game? Like, are they becoming extinct? We want all small, fast guys, or we want, is the jump ball covered guy a thing of the past?
That's the thing. He is who J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain, he's who the big, more limited and short area quarterbacks thrive against. Like, this is him. This is who they want. They don't want Elijah Moore, Rondale Moore, Darius Toney. They want Seth Williams. So he does kind of play into the defense's hand when you're like, all right, we have big corners. We got this guy covered today. Like, he's not going to straight up outrun people. He might double move us here and there, but like, he's not going to just come out and we're going to have to game plan for him alone. You can put your big, cornerback on him, and you're like, all right, we think we have him taken care of. And so you have a point there for sure. Like, he's no Terrace Marshall, who's who's quicker and more fluid and more dynamic. He's definitely a guy who is probably more linear and is going to win that above the rim stuff a little too much, where you can't ask him to do everything. You can't ask him to run every route, but he has a fit. It's just probably not for every team. But I was shocked at how easily and how efficiently he was able to get off the jam. Like, the dude can actually use his hands, and he actually, against some really good corners, was able to like swim them and beat them. And you're like, oh, that was shocking. Like, I didn't think he had that in him. He's not quick enough consistently to do that, but he kind of did it consistently, which was really interesting. It's kind of an underrated part of his game, especially for being such a big dude.
Right. Damn, Wilson.
Oh, I can't hear Wilson
Listen,
at all.
you're muted.
I do this on every show. I mute myself. It's a really bad habit. So this is a good sign that some things are consistent. It's a great habit. So you guys are knocking these out where I don't even have to say anything about how they win. Here's a concern, ski versatility. You guys are great. You're knocking all these out. My question to you guys, and I guess just to touch on what you guys were talking about with him, I kind of put him in a box. You remember, what was it? Was it Ole Miss a couple years ago? They had DK, AJ, and had no freaking idea how to use any of them. And everybody was poo-pooing on the receivers. And it was like, they all get to the NFL like, oh my God, it's football. There's a quarterback. I'm open. They see me. And everyone's like, oh my God, how did they miss? Because they're stuck with, it's not their fault. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think Seth, I'm not saying, and again, I'm going to say it slow before somebody gets crazy. I'm not saying Seth Williams is DK Metcalf. I'm not saying Seth Williams is AJ Brown. I'm saying similar to those guys, they were in a trash situation in college. Like,
Yeah.
we always talk about when receivers or running backs do bad. The fact that I can't tell you who was supposed to be throwing to him. It speaks volumes. What do you want him to do? And then the other thing, like you guys said, right? You guys are talking about his movement skills for a bigger wide receiver. He can actually move a little bit. There's a little wiggle there. He can get off the line. How could we never see him going downfield? It's like they didn't know what to do with him. They were like, hey, you're big. You're in a box. We're going to pigeonhole you in a box. This is what you're going to do, and that's the end of that. So like you guys said, it's an extremely tough eval when the idiots that have him in college don't know what they're doing with them. And then we're like, what do you want to do? And then I'm going to keep it a buck too. I'm not going to care when my quarterback can't find me. I'm 6'3", 6'4", whatever. It's hard to see me. How, bro? Like again, going back to I don't know what random dude couldn't find AJ Brown and DK Metcalf. NFL corners can't deal with them. You had both of them. It was hard. Like you're trying to tell me life was difficult. It was really hard to go to work every day and go to practice. You should have been like, F it, I'm throwing it up. Eeny, mighty, mo. You could have been doing the same thing the Bama dudes was doing. It doesn't matter. Hey, it's AJ on this play. It's DK on this play. Instead, you're like, you got everyone questioning him. DK looks like a freaking superhero. People are like, well, I don't know how well he runs routes. Right? You see what that's not normal. How about we start there? And then ask questions of how do you get something like that at your school? What did you pay? I'm curious. And then how did you mess it up? Like, how did you mess it up? Seriously, you had him and AJ Brown, and we're like, bubble screen, tunnel screen, stop route. They get to the league, they outrunning Pro Bowlers. You got Pro Bowlers like, nah, I'm gonna give you a cushion, bro. I don't want no smoke. You had him in college and you lost. So I'm not saying Seth Williams is that. I'm saying I'm just trying to explain why it's such a tough eval for wide receivers like over the last couple of years. Because it's similar to basketball where some of these kids pick the wrong school initially and then they just stay. But a basketball player be like, I'm out. Let me go somewhere where they accidentally know how to use me. Football players, they might stay a little bit, right? You got to spend 2-3 years in school and you suffer for it. So we might not, I'm saying I wouldn't be shocked. Seth lands somewhere good. And, Justin over here is going to be giddy on the next level. He gets somewhere with an actual quarterback and constantly, he's going to be like this. I told you all. Seth Williams, I told you all. You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't be shocked. But just want to ask you guys so we can move on. What's the possible comp or projection? Then after that, Ray, want to ask you your final thoughts on Seth Williams after those two answer that.
Man.
Seth Williams, huh? A ceiling would be Cortland Sutton.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
The floor. The
floor is like Jalen Strong or something.
Yeah. Or a 6'3"
Kill Harry.
dude at Home Depot.
Right?
All right, Ray, you saw the clips. You heard Justin talk about it a little bit. What are some of your thoughts on Seth Williams, man?
The bad offense thing is definitely something I think that people should pay more attention to because the way you guys were describing it, that is a serious issue that I don't think people talk about as much. And I think there's a context of how you guys are evaluating it too that I wanted to mention is, of course, the conversation is going to be different depending if it's going to be the top 10 pick or the 20th or the 30th. Like you're going to take more of a risk the further down the line. He's going to be an attractive offer for somebody. So I think a lot of the conversation that we're having is depending on where he's going to get drafted at. After a certain number, he's going to be a quality pick.
True. Yeah.
I like that. That's true.
All right, we're going to keep this train moving on to Mr. Rashad Bateman. I'm looking forward to this one. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say.
Let's just watch all 11 minutes. Let's watch all 11 minutes and just.
Oh no, that definitely got cut down to 11 and being a bully.
We're gonna get killed for this one.
I wish you the best.
The thing to know about Bateman too is in 2019 he played the boundary, like he actually played outside receiver. In 2020 he only played the slot, like 99% of the reps, and they basically just had him run like ins. It wasn't even like posts. It was just like, hey, go 5 yards and like kind of get to the middle of the field, and we'll throw you the ball there. And so his production went up. I don't know about the production. I don't know what the stats exactly were, but in 2020 it felt like every single play it was the same play, and they kept getting him the ball. And he's another tough eval because he tested he ran a 4.38 or something, and I don't know. On tape, it never looked like he was getting open because of traits. It looked like he was getting open because double moves. He was smarter than the DB. He's a savvy guy. That's the thing. He should get credit for what a polished, really savvy receiver. He looks like an NFL player that's playing against college kids sometimes, just on the way he can manipulate coverages or manipulate leverage, kind of read their body, read their hips, and he knows what he's doing. But Ruckus texted me earlier and was saying he just looks like he's trying too hard to get open. Like, it's tough for him. And I think that's a perfect example. He's he just never pops off the screen as like, oh, he's fast, oh, he's quick, oh, he's dominant, oh, he's physical. He's got good hands, but he's not really great after the catch either. He's pretty linear, like he can get upfield, but he's not making people miss. He's not a natural. He doesn't fight. He's not my type of receiver, and I think I might have a little bias with that. As just I don't want a guy that plays the way he does, but he's definitely a good receiver. I also don't see high level traits in him, and I could be wrong with that. He could be one of my misses just because he's a good player. It's just I'm not finding the things that I look for when I look for receivers.
Yeah,
someone kill me.
I think to go with that is, and you try to fight it. He's solid. He's just solid. He's just cool. But I think what happens is
good.
you go on, again, you try not to be that. You don't want to be that guy, but you go on Twitter, you go to places, and you're like, hey, he's a top 3 best receiver in college, and you're like, he ain't doing nothing. He's just kind of playing. He's just there. And like you said, I think, have you ever heard how they say like if an NBA player came to the park, he'd look like Michael Jordan, and that's how you feel with him. Is it's like he's an NFL player and he's playing college kids, but he's going into his bag, like he's doing every move he's ever learned, and he's
spinning at the line. He's doing some weird stuff.
Like even the plays we saw, it was double moves. It's like you shouldn't have to run a double move every play. Like like when I watched Devontae Smith dominate, you're like, this little guy is better than all these guys. And he's doing whatever he has to do. With Bateman, it feels like it's, okay, we're going to move him around to here because he can't get open here. Okay, they're pressing him. We got to move him now. All right, let's drag. Let's run a drag. Let's run a double move. And even then, the separation isn't what you want. I've watched Devontae Smith run a double move. He's turning around to catch the ball. With him, he's running a double move, and it's still like a tough
contested. Yeah.
But he hasn't, like, basically, like you want to say, an old man's game. He has an old man's game. And it's at what point, I don't care what about the 4.39, because if you told me it was a 4.56, I would be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, you don't see it. You don't see it on the field. Yeah. I don't feel it at all. Like, sounds bad. You can feel speed. You can feel explosion. There's guys we've watched over the years, and you're like, whoa. You know what I mean? I've never felt that way. He's just moving. He's just kind of moving.
He just continues.
Yeah.
I think
there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right. And I think like the separation issues made more sense when he was listed at 6'2", and we were like, well, he's a big guy. He came in at 6 feet. He's not big. He's 6 feet.
Right.
Like, so now you have a guy who you're like, all right, he's not big. He doesn't really go up. You never see him like go up above the rim. Like, he's not a leaper. He's not dynamic vertically or horizontally. He's not beating guys deep. He's not winning any way where you're like, oh, that's dynamic. That's a trump card. He's just winning. Like, he's, like you said, he's like that. He's like a dad that's playing against some kids, and he's just like, I know what to do. I'm a little better at this. I've done it longer, but I'm not really beating you. Like, one day you'll grow up and you'll be better. Like, you'll catch up. That's how it feels like. He's going to get to the NFL, and he's going to be like, damn it, like, these guys are good, and now I don't know what to do. They're not buying my stuff. I can't double move them all day. And, like, I don't know how he's getting these comps to, like, Stephon Diggs and Michael Gallup, like, these crazy dudes that are too dynamic for him. I see Cooper Kupp, Tyler Boyd, and even then I think those guys are taller, and those guys are better after the catch. Cooper Kupp's kind of a beast after the catch. And Tyler Boyd's a slippery dude who, like, makes things happen, and Bateman doesn't. And I don't know. Like I said, he could be one of my misses because I just feel like I'm not seeing what other people are seeing, but I'm glad, Ruckus, you've kind of like been like, yeah, I don't really get it either, and that's made me feel better. So that's nice.
All right. I want to bring Ray in here right here. So, Ray, you watched a little bit. You heard both of the Jetsons talk about Mr. Bateman. Y'all gonna hate, some of y'all gonna hate my comp for him too. I'm gonna take the cake with the comp on this one. Y'all gonna be big mad. And I'm not gonna care at all. But
I'm not gonna let you get all this hate, man. I got your back, Wilson, man.
Oh no. I embrace it. It's fun. I don't respond to it. It's fun. It's great. This is fascinating. This is fascinating because both of these dudes went out of their way to explain in the most polite way, the most sensitive, just touching.
He just doesn't jump off the page. He doesn't jump off the page. That's what they used to call it. There's a spark when you watch certain film where you just feel the energy, where you know that there's something there. The kid's not doing anything wrong. The kid's fundamentally sound. There's nothing to actually be like, oh, boo. He doesn't jump off the page. That's all it is. I don't be on Twitter, so I can say this stuff. So have fun. But
Get after it.
there's a spark when you watch certain people, like what we talked about earlier in the podcast, that a dog, there's a feeling, there's an energy, there's a something that's just there. You watch it, you just don't get that feeling. He's not doing anything wrong. He's just not doing anything amazing that makes you feel it here, like he's going to impact the team immediately. He's going to come in and catch a couple balls and get a couple first downs, be in the league a couple years, have 13 baby mamas like everybody else, and it is what it is. But it's just nothing wrong with that. He's going to make a lot of money. He's going to be able to buy his mother a house. Everybody relax. He'll be fine. He's just not. It's nothing. That's all. Doesn't jump off the page. That's all.
You guys want to go ahead with your comps?
First off, Ray, that was the best way to put it. I mean, you're absolutely right. That was perfect. He doesn't move the needle. He's just a guy that does everything right, but he's not. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
You watch him and you're like, cool, that was a football player.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
I want to hear Wilson's comp now. I want to know where you're at with this.
Oh man. All right. I was gonna let you guys get your comps out. If you guys don't want to comp them, I'll take this one, and I don't mind. It's fine. It's fine. I'll jump out there. He's what would have happened to Kendrick Bourne if he didn't go to school with Cooper Kupp. He's Kendrick Bourne. That's it. He's just the Kendrick Bourne that got drafted. That's it. Because KB went undrafted, but he played opposite Cooper, right? So everyone's excited about Cooper. KB's one of them dudes. He was boring as hell, but you know what you can do? You can count on him because he's always in the place he's supposed to be at. It's boring to the umpteenth degree, but he's there. Like you said, he's not gonna go above the rim, but he's not gonna like the drops are like concentration drops. He has a better set of hands than he probably gets credit for. He's not gonna leave the ground and make a spectacular grab, but you're gonna find him on third and whatever, and he's the dude that moves the chains. Here and there, like maybe somebody can teach him to get the drop step going, but like I don't think he's the version of KB that came out that went undrafted. He's the one that's going to the Patriots, which is why I think Rashad Bateman to get drafted. Because KB, after being in San Francisco, they added a little more wiggle to his game. It's a little bit more adding the drop step. So there's the illusion of yak. He's the worst of the yak dudes over there, but he understands. He improved upon it enough from a college. Because like that's a big difference. You mentioned Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp's been a yak guy the entire time. KB wasn't. And the reason why a lot of people don't even know they were on the field together, KB moves like this dude. You don't realize it. You're just like, whatever. But what you couldn't do against Cooper Kupp was double him because there was another NFL caliber dude over there. He just does. You can watch Kendrick Bourne all day and you can't tell me what he does well. You also can't tell me what he does wrong. You also probably don't want to watch him.
Oh, wow. Man.
You know what I'm saying?
Listen, I see why you get attacked. You be putting a little salt on it. You season your comments a little bit. I said,
But at the same time, like I'm a Niners fan. I watch KB the whole time. Like this is just KB that didn't play with Cooper Kupp. That's it. Where it was featured.
You just say it real nice. Yeah. He just says it really polite and nice, but it'd be seasoning.
I mean, literally everybody just said he doesn't move the needle, right? So I found a guy who doesn't move the needle, who has an NFL career, and to me, the play style is not that much different. It's another guy that literally doesn't move the needle.
I like that. I like that one.
Well, I think like Bateman and Bourne are both those guys that get like 10 years. Like you didn't game plan for them because you didn't think you had to, and then you look at the stat sheet after the game and you're like, they had 10 catches for 100 yards. Like, what the hell happened? And you don't have to worry about anything he's going to do to you, but he's going to end up with stats. And the next week they're going to see the stats and be like, well, we watched the tape, we still have to game plan him, and he'll do the same thing, but you don't know how. He's just that's what yeah. I'm glad. I heard Kendrick Bourne yet. No one wants to say that though. So
I mean, you have to actually sit there and watch him, which I don't wish on anybody. It's been tough the last couple of years as a Niner fan, but seriously, like for a lot of people that aren't aware, all the yak dudes they got, that's the red zone target. That's been their he's been their best red zone target. Mr. Unassuming, whatever, he's just there. Quarterback's best friend. Just no one pays me any mind. I'm always there. You need me. You can count on me. Now, am I going to take that in the top 15? Wouldn't be me. Somebody else's business. But that's what jumped off the page to me because he's just one of them unassuming guys. You pay literally no attention to him, like you said, Justin. You're going to wake up at the end of the game and be like, damn, he had 5 catches. 4 of them were on third down.
Yeah. Like, how'd that happen? Yeah.
What happened? It's third or whatever. He had a yard catch. Let me go back to doubling somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not changing my game plan. But you guys had nothing else for Mr. Bateman. I'm sorry, Bateman. I'm sorry, Bateman and your fans. Y'all gonna hate me, but KD got a little bag just now, man. You got a better chance to get a rookie deal. He was undrafted.
Well, that fit's gonna be like for him, fit is really important. But I just think what's gonna really hurt him in a way is if he goes where people are saying, like second round, that the expectations are of a second rounder isn't to learn isn't to like, be in the background. The expectation is, hey, go line up over there and beat their number 1 corner, or beat their second corner. And I don't know if that's not his game. His game is, like we talked about, 3 or 4 receiver. And like you said, the expectation is what causes the problems.
Yeah, somebody does that, man. That's tough. Wish you your job security the best. Let me know how it works out. And again, it's got nothing to do with the kid. It's just who he is. And like, again, a lot of people get excited about these 40 times, man. Turn on the tape. Fast is fast. Everything's not equal. Some dudes, they do a great job of training for a race, and that's wonderful that you can run a 40. Don't line up the line of scrimmage in that stance. I could care less.
Right.
That's cool. Some folks are actually that fast, like Justin said earlier. From start to stop, Jamar Chase moved different. You know what I'm saying? Start to stop, move different. Yeah. Mr. Bateman, you are. There's nothing wrong with that, man. You're the best version of you. So we got Cornell Powell from Clemson coming up next. Get this video going. I think it's Justin G, right? You stepping in on this one?
No, it's my.
Okay, my bad. Go ahead, Mr. Walters.
All right. I keep getting all the Gamels players, but Powell's interesting because you know what? He's not like the other Clemson receivers the last few years. Like the last few years, they've had those 6'4", 6'5", back shoulder only receivers, and he's like he has long legs, so he looks taller, but he's kind of what do we say? Oh, he's kind of straight line-ish, but he's explosive on 1 foot cuts. Like he can with his stride, he can really put pressure on a defender, but he can get out of his breaks, unlike the other receivers they've had. He's able to work back to the ball. He can, separate. And what's weird is he hadn't seen the field for 4 years. So he's been there for like 5 years and didn't play. Just behind all those other guys. And you watch him, and I think he wasn't sitting because he wasn't as good as them. He just was sitting because he was a different kind of player. Their offense was kind of basic. They ran 2 routes, goes and stops. And then you get a guy that can do some other things. And like some of his best football was actually played when Trevor Lawrence was out, and they were playing with the backup quarterback, the freshman, and they ran more routes. So you can see him run some posts. He has enough shake, but he's just a weird prospect because he's only 6 foot. But if you look at him, he looks 6'2", 6'3" because of his legs, but he can pretty much he has the outline of a number 1 receiver. But he's just kind of like has to fill it in. You want to see him play more football because for someone who's a senior, you would expect him to have played more. So he's just kind of still a little raw.
Yeah, he's so weird. The long legs are nice though because he separates downfield. Like you would have thought off of his tape that he might run in the 4.4. Like Virginia Tech, he was torching those corners. I mean, he got deep at will. Those were solid corners. I mean, and there was a lot of games actually where if he can get off the jam, he was leaving. He was moving past people. Those long legs really let him go downfield. They kind of limit him in short areas. Like you can see that he's not the most nimble, but he's a lot like Chase where he's fighting you. As soon as he gets the ball, he's going to fight you. And he's got big hands that he has some great hands. That was one of the things where he doesn't let the ball come to him. Like, he snatches it, and you can see that he's got that thing. And I think the cool thing about him was, like, when he was getting off, like Chase takes haymakers, this kid throws them. There's times where you see him, and he wants to fight people right off the snap.
Right.
He plays like a senior. Like, he plays like he's seen a lot of ball. He just hasn't played a lot of ball.
Right. Just needs more reps. Yep.
Yeah. And it is weird that he only came in at 6 feet. Those legs make him look 6'2", but he plays big.
Yeah.
I think this is one of them where he gets downfield easy.
Yeah.
Just bam. And then he's done. And then there he goes. Top of the screen.
There was one where he ran right by the corner, dropped it. The next play, they ran the same play, and he caught it for a touchdown. Like, just kind of just shows you that that's not a 4.5, or maybe it is, but it's just the stride allows him to really get on a DB. So maybe it's deceptive speed. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that you said he's like the outline of a number one receiver. Like, it's hard to watch him and figure out what he's not going to be able to do in the NFL. You know what I mean? Like, he's not obviously Calvin Johnson. Like, he's not going to straight up burn guys every rep. He's not going to, completely out-athlete guys every rep. But there's no glaring holes in his game. And he plays big. He plays physical. He plays quick. He separates fast. Like, he can win. He knows how to run routes and get open. He understands, like, how to separate naturally. He doesn't need the route or the concept or the look to separate. Like, he can line up just man-to-man and get open. It's not hard for him. He just understands what he's doing to separate. And, I mean, I've been high on him for a while. I don't know how high I'm willing to go on him, but I can't figure out what's not to like about this kid, other than maybe that he didn't play until he was a senior.
Okay.
But he was behind
NFL
all the big boys. Yeah, he was behind Justin Ross and T. Higgins and all these other guys that ended up going high, or Justin Ross probably will go high eventually. But, yeah, he didn't really fit their offense. He could have done a lot more.
6 feet
He
even?
laid waste to Sean Wade. Yeah, 6 feet. 6 feet.
I should have just.
We were trying to figure out a comp for him, but we couldn't do it.
Yeah. Who did we come up with? Yeah.
What did you say? So you said McLaurin and you said Slayton, but those are 4-3 guys. So it's like hard to throw that comp around and be like, we can stick with it because those guys are burners. I don't remember what did you say? You had a good one too.
I don't know.
Now I got to look through what you said.
Was it Gallup?
Yeah, you said Gallup. And I think I said Gallup is a little more springy and explosive from a standstill, but they're similar. Because, I mean, they are similar. He's just, I think he's a lot like Chase again, where you're like, oh, he must be bigger than 6 feet. Nope, he's 6 feet. So now it kind of like throws it off because he's a smaller dude and he just wins like a big boy. But I mean, I don't know. He's sexy at his pro day too. That dude came in ripped up.
It got to be something you don't like about him. Give me something. One thing.
He hasn't played enough. So like, even though like watching the Senior Bowl one-on-ones, there were a few times you'd see him do some weird things. Like the defender wasn't where he was supposed to be, and he would like almost like give up on the route. Like, oh, what are you doing here? I think just he has just reps. Like you figure you were there. You can practice as much as you want, but if you're not playing, you just need to play. And I think he just needs to play football. And he went to the wrong. He's in the wrong place. He went to the school he went to wasn't for him.
Yeah. Like you said too, like those long legs make him very linear. He's a linear player, and Ruckus was saying like he's like the cover 3 version of a wide receiver. He's not a guy who's gonna do nimble, cool stuff in little areas and be pretty. He wins by going straight and cutting and going. Like he's a linear receiver. I don't think even though he's good after the catch, it's more strength and determination versus like, as a defender, you're like, dude, this guy's doing stuff I've never seen before. He's basically just going to beat the hell out of you once he catches it. He's not really going to, dance around you. So that, I mean, he's not perfect, obviously, but I think the long legs help him down the field. They help him vertically. They help him win late in the routes because he has that nice acceleration late. But they kind of hurt him short areas where when a guy really has the fluidity and the actual, the hips to stay with him, they can stay with him, which would limit him. You know what I mean? But I don't know what to project him as. I don't know if I can say this guy can be your number one or if that's absolutely nuts. I can see the argument both ways. He's been a tough one.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Ray, want to hear your thoughts on him.
I'm still on Justin G. If you were going to $1 million, you got to stop him on this route. You're used to play corner. You're going to defend him. How would you go about doing it?
Which route?
Fly.
Man, I don't think I'm jamming him. That's the thing. He's a big dog, and he wants you to jam him. He likes it. I think I got to hope I'm faster than he is. You know what I mean? I got to keep my leverage. I'm going to stay on top of him. I'm not going to let him I'm not going to chance that because he's a lot like Chase. Like, if you get even with him, he kind of knows how to stack you. He knows what he's doing to stack you. Like, you have to stay behind him. But that's the thing. That makes him a good wide receiver. Like, when he's playing a lot of these quarters teams, match quarter stuff, like, he's going to win a lot of the underneath stuff because teams are going to stay on top. And I don't know. I don't think he's going to beat a lot of NFL corners deep. I really don't. I don't see that being his game in the NFL. Like, I think he did it in college.
Okay.
Yeah.
If the studio audience would notice, this is the first person he didn't say anything negative about, so I had to dig a little bit deeper.
No, and I like the question. It kind of brought it out.
Okay.
Like, you know what? I can't see him just straight up torching guys deep in the NFL. I don't think that'll be his game. I think he might get some because they sit on him, and he kind of knows how. Like I said, he can beat you up. He'll stack you. He'll use those long legs to get past you. But I don't think that'll be his real game. I think he's going to win a lot of 50-50s, and he's going to win a lot of stuff underneath.
Wilson. Yeah.
Hey, Will,
or Justin.
Sorry, you know what I just thought of it. That was a great question, Ray. I think attempting to stop him, you want to make him move his feet. Like, I feel like the stride is what gets you. So if you play off, he's going to get on you with that stride. But I feel like if you were to make him kind of break down and move his feet around, I think that's where he'd struggle. And I think that's where a number one, that's where the number one corners would give him a problem. But like a fit maybe for me might be like late, like Super Bowl Chiefs, Watkins, backside. The focus is on Kelsey and Hill. You put him on the backside and win your comeback, occasional go route, a post, because it's all 1 foot cuts. So get upfield, threaten the corner, post, balls on you. But the game is the focus of the defense is to the other side. So as a number 2 receiver or number 3 receiver on with the right team, he can live that way. A nice 75 catch season or whatever in 1,200 yards. Like, I think that might be where he is a high end too.
Yeah.
But he's got to be in the right situation where the focus isn't to him. Because I think if you put the focus to him, like he would, I don't know what Ramsey would do to him. I don't know what Gilmore would do to him. I think, So I think with him, I'm having this conversation actually kind of put it in place. Like, I think I just kind of like, you can look at notes and you're reading your notes and you're like, fast, long stride. You're like, oh man, this sounds like a legit receiver. And then you're like, all right, we're about to play a game. And you're like, whoa, he's my number one option? No,
yeah.
3.
Yeah, that's like, I like him and I don't see holes in his game, but I don't see him beating like NFL number 1 corners consistently. But it's just hard to say like then how, like what's his floor? You know what I mean? Like what's the worst he could be? What's the best he could be? And you're probably right. I think his floor and his ceiling is probably the number 2. It could either be a bad number 2 in a bad spot or a good number 2 in a good spot. And I just think he's that guy that you never have to worry about. You send him out there, you never have to like game plan for him, but he's not going to like break the game open. He's just like, he's like the really good version of Bateman where you're like, oh, we didn't really notice him, but he's just murdering people. Instead of we didn't notice him and he's just kind of picking up, like he's going to win some big reps, I think. That'll make you kind of like, whoa. But he's never going to be the guy that you're like, oh, Marshawn Lattimore's out there, like go beat him 10 times today. That's not going to happen. Really? feel like he's just waiting to say something. I'm like, all right, here we go.
I was thinking of a comp. Like I'm listening to you guys talk, right? Seeing him play, and it's like nothing initially pops into mind, right? And that's the tough part. You like him, but you like nothing pops in your head. Like, oh, it's kind of like this guy, or it's kind of like that. Then listen to what you just said, Justin G, talking about. It's not like you're talking about what you won't ask him to do, right? So we're thinking of a complimentary guy, right? So
Yeah.
that also sent me down another weird rabbit hole trying to pull guys that were number twos without trying to offend people, right? Because there's a lot of people that were number twos, but people built them up as number ones. So I'm gonna go ahead and offend folks anyways. And y'all could go ahead and again, if it's horrible, please let me know too. That's fine. He has no issue getting downfield, right? But he's also not somebody where we'd be like, he's just outright explosive. He has a wiggle to him, but he's also not somebody where we're gonna be like, damn, he's dynamic as hell in space. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Ooh, Giants fans, forgive me, please. Keem Nicks.
That's pretty good. And they have similar builds too.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with Keem Nicks. Where maybe a step slower, because Akeem had a little bit more.
I think so.
But he also didn't have as much as people tried to say. So, and I also, again, no disrespect to Akeem Nicks, but I feel like one of the issues with people not liking Akeem Nicks when people got excited and try to build him up like a one, like they try to get excited about him like they did about Odell, and there was like a gap, right? There's a clear difference between what a one is and a certified two. I think this dude's a certified two, and he can be somebody's he can be somebody's like a really great compliment to a team that has the guy, right? So say you're a team that has the guy, you got a tight end, and you're looking for the other guy. He's what those teams need to look for. Go get this guy. So when somebody rolls coverage to your guy, make him pay. Because if there's not somebody over the top, you're not rolling coverage to this dude, he's gonna burn somebody up. Like you said, he's not getting Marshawn Lattimore. I'm getting not Marshawn Lattimore. I'm getting not whoever your guy is.
Yeah, PJ Williams.
Exactly, right?
Right? Like
period, whoever it might be. I'm not getting your number one guy. He's busy. He's off dealing with our number one guy. But your number two, food. Give me all that. That's all me.
Yeah.
Advantage me. And we're gonna make you guys pay because if you don't roll coverage to my guy at number one, trouble. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's that type. I think he could be that type of person for a smart team. If you're a not smart team and you get him asking him to be number one, you'll be a little disappointed, and I'm not gonna be mad at him because you did that. I will never be mad at him because I'm hardly ever mad at players when people pick them outside of what they bring to the table or utilize them correctly, like misuse them. I'm never mad at the player. They didn't send themselves there. That's on you.
Right.
If you got that, saw it was like, Odell, that's a whole issue we need to talk to, work through, rehab, all that. But that's not it. Like you can't blame this guy for that. But I think he could be an outstanding compliment to someone that's taking the top off on the other side.
See, this is why like I've liked Powell too much. And I told Justin, I was like, bro, I like him too much. And I can't figure out like what I'm supposed to dislike about him. Like I know he's not perfect and I know he's not this freak, but I need help like coming down. And that's why like I like just simply Ray asking questions and Wilson, you talking about him, and then just like all of that's what I think is so awesome about the process. And I think it's nice to like that's what most evaluators need is just people to like ask you questions and be like, bro, come back down to earth with this guy, or like here's the right question. Yeah, I'm glad I got there today. Like this is the first day where I'm like, okay, I can find like the even ground on Powell because all it took was like a few questions from Ray, and I'm like, all right, cool. But for now, and that's the hard part about like Twitter. Wilson, you're like, dude, you say one thing about anybody, and people jump down your throat, and you're like, sometimes I'm just looking for you guys to help me out because I don't know what to think about this place.
Well, that's the fun part about the process and discussing it, right? Is getting everybody's different point of view. Because just like Ray asking the question, unlocked a different way to look at it, right? And Ray asking those questions, if you guys see me looking down, I'm over here on my phone just going through like what some people threw out as player comps, just kind of get like a baseline. Like one of the things I put up, like his wide receiver coach was like Sterling Sharp, and I'm like, all right, I'm kind of old. That ain't Sterling Sharp. So
No,
I know like
sir,
it ain't that for us. So like, let's put that in a separate pile and move back to reality because it's not that. But you like the kid, right? And you find things that he does well. So that's why I was over here. You guys were talking about like I was trying to think of something. I was trying to find that. I'm trying to find that place where it's like I can see that. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like I can see that and I'm okay with that. Like a realistic, because I think sometimes we get too excited. Like, hey, somebody does like say it's a wide receiver, and we're gonna get to Diami. Say like Diami again, not to spoil it, but like you can say when the ball's in the air, Diami is kind of dynamic. Like you see some Odell, right? And someone can say that, and all of a sudden take that and turn it into you call Diami Brown, Odell Beckham Jr. Nah, bro, I said when the ball's in the air. Prior to that, that ain't Odell. Just dial it back. Prior to that, that's not Odell. That's just at that moment, that's a similar elite trait. Now let's dial back, look at everything else like you guys are talking about, and figure out where he at right now because Odell moving at a different frequency. And I like Diami. We'll figure out where he's at, but you can't just be throwing random stuff out because it's a whole thing is disrespectful to the players about. Like you guys said, the traits are the traits. That's wonderful. Identify the traits, work your way down, and then find like you said, Justin G, you were happy. Like you found a place where you be like, I can rest here, right? Like it's really weird, but it's like I can rest here. Like that's a place I'm comfortable with. It's tangible. It's not some weird thing. I'm not like, this is too high, this is too low. It's cool. I can live with that. All right, so we need to the final one of the night, right? And we're doing pretty good on time. We said probably about 90 minutes. We got time still for Mr. Diami Brown. I hated to spoil that by mentioning his name, but this is a fun one too because people are all over the place here. And I'm just gonna say, y'all just gotta take a deep breath, man. There's a lot of wide receivers in this class that are fun to talk about. There's a lot of players, period. And I can't wait till we get to the pass rushers because there's just a lot of things in this draft where you're waiting for people because some of y'all kill me with pass rushers. It's hilarious. Inconsistency, but that's another story for another day. Mr. Diami Brown. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this clip started, and I think it's on you, Justin G. Right? I think I got it right this time. So
Ruckus, you take this one, Ruckus, because you've had a lot to say about this kid, and I think you've broken him down better than I have a little bit. I think I've been a little too, I don't know, narrow-minded with Diami.
He's tough, man. He's kind of. If you watch the right clips, you could see like some people. You know, like I've heard of. I'll never call anybody Odell. Like I just won't. It's not in me. And I'm still gonna say Odell's the best receiver in the league until he quits football or something bad happens. So I just can't do it. But there's an explosiveness to him that like jumps off the tape. Like if you watch him get off the ball, it doesn't matter what his 40 time is, but when you watch him get off the ball, he's on it immediately. You know, and again, another one of those guys that's an explosive, you know, the 1 foot cuts. So he's threatening the DB and then he's gone. You know, and I think that's something defense has to worry about. But I don't think he's a polished receiver yet. So you're going to see some reps where you're like, if the defender cuts him off, he's kind of like doesn't have a response to that. But I think just as he's the type of guy who can live off of go routes and stop routes because you have to respect the speed. And I think that's what he can live off early. And then it's a certain plane of routes. So you're going to get slants. You're going to get double moves. You know, and he works back to the ball better than you would think. You know, so I mean, there's really no major flaws. I just think it's polish, and he's not the toughest guy either. But I don't really there's no real flaws. There are no super flaws.
Is it crazy to say he might be the prettiest mover of all the receivers in this class?
Yeah.
Like he's fluid and he looks like if you could pick your guy to be like, we want him to look and move like this is your boy. Like this is the athlete that you want at receiver. He had so many drops against Virginia Tech. He doesn't like when people are around him. He doesn't elevate. Like Virginia Tech, I think he had like 5 drops or something. He was only credited with like 2, but I don't know what people were watching. He couldn't shake them. Like anytime he felt people around him, he was just like he dropped the ball. He just couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
But he does work back to it. He is nice to look. I mean, that 4.48 he ran at his pro day, that's a bunch of baloney because the dude can burn.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Should have just went to the Minnesota Pro Day or LSU Pro Day and got the 4.28.
He would have ran a 4.25 at those pro days, bro.
Yeah,
I think the other thing that's not wrong with his game, but he only played left side at UNC. He only played left side. He ran slant, stops, and goes. That was it. Like it was hard to find him running things where he really needed, savvy. Like he didn't have a lot in his repertoire just because they didn't ask it of him.
Yeah.
But I mean, the ability to just stretch the field.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, sorry.
Another weird thing with him for me was just I watched a lot of their games and just never felt he was dominant. And then I went and watched, now specifically studying him, you're like, man, this guy's pretty good. But watching their games, I never felt like he was like I didn't know if he was better or Newsom was better. And now I'm watching the tape and
I felt the same way.
This guy's really good, and I think, but you end up picking out reps. So it's really just, okay, so for these 3 to 5 plays, he looks like Odell Beckham. But there's 75 plays in the game where I didn't even see him, and even, again, when we get, I look forward when we get to corners, but watching them against Melifanu, I felt like he kind of, I don't say took his lunch, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all, Yeah. And I think that's, I don't know if you watch the right clips, you could see a number 1 receiver. But for
which Chris Sims did.
Yeah, Chris Sims did. But again, he probably just watched the highlights, same, which is okay, I guess.
Yeah.
If you if you work for a great channel.
That's the thing. His cut-ups are nasty. But like when you watch the game, like you never got emotional about him. You never watched even a live game and got like emotional about like, dang, that guy's dope. Like, how are we not talking about him? Like you said, before I studied them individually, I was like, I don't know who I'm going to come out higher on, Newsom or Brown. And then, you watch them and you're like, Brown's the guy. Like, this is their guy. How did he not dominate on a consistent basis? And there's just like a big part of his game where you feel like he's definitely not a dog. He's not someone that wants to like fight you. He's not someone that's going to steal your soul, as you would say. He's almost like Will Fuller or Mike Wallace, where you're like, dang, he got us. He beat us for 4 reps this game, but he beat us for 400 yards because they were all deep balls and they all went for 6. But the rest of the reps, you're like, we don't even know where he was. We don't even know what happened to him. And I can't see him being anything more than a deep threat. He's not going to work over the middle. He fights the ball when it's away from his frame. Getting off press, he didn't really have to. Like, I don't think he saw anything but off coverage or zone the entire year. So it's hard to say, he's really good with guys right on him. It's not, you can't tell about that. So he's another dude. And like playing only the left side too, you didn't really get to see him work all over the field. You never saw him inside. It was pretty tough evaluation, but I think that's okay because I think when he gets to the NFL, he'll kind of be a one-trick pony, which is okay. But I think that limits his value and where you can really take him.
All right, let me jump in real quick. Lucian Anderson, I see you got a comment. We're going to get to your comment as soon as we finish this prospect. And I need you to do me a favor, be a little bit more specific. I'm going to have these guys answer who the most underrated prospect is. It's about wide receivers tonight, so I guess that's the question we'll answer. If it's somebody else specifically, just follow along. Just type another comment, and we'll get to you. Again, appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate the comments. We will get to you in just a minute. Go ahead, Justin. Walters.
I forgot what we were talking about. No.
Yeah, I got it. Sorry.
No, football, right? No, yeah. You know what? I really like that Will Fuller comp. I can see it because it's Will Fuller's kind of a long-legged, but I mean he's better pro than I ever thought he'd be, to be honest with you. But for that style, if there's not much for, like if Chase isn't what we think he is, he's still a solid player. With Brown, he can be explosive on the right team, or he can be not on your team. Like, you know what I mean? It's a big gap of what that player can be. But
right.
Brown in the right situation, I mean, he's gonna stretch it. He stretches the field. He's a good target. Like I just think there's so much. Let's see, it's just a big range of what he can be, and that's kind of scary, you know. But seeing what Fuller has done, and like you said, Mike Wallace, those type of players, he's similar to them. So I mean, I think he could be a really good pro. You know, you put him in again the left side thing. You put him on his side, and you say, okay, this is your side. You're probably not even going to cross the numbers. You know, he's going to be outside the numbers. He's going to live there, and the same like we talked about earlier, the threat of the speed, the comebacks, maybe an occasional slant. You know, he might go across the middle, catch the ball, and slide, or protect.
He's going down for sure. He's down.
Definitely going down. But it shows it's a player. I think there's room for that in the league. There's room. For that.
All right, Ray, need you to jump in here, man. After what these fine gentlemen had to say about Mr. Diami Brown, your thoughts on it, man? You've been itching over there. I see you with the notes. Go ahead.
No, I'm just going through some of his other highlights. I wanted to get a better look at him. Justin, Ruckus. It's 40 seconds left on the clock, and third down. Third and 4. We're going to run an out. Do you trust him?
If it's not press, as long as they don't press him, I'm in. We're going to, because he's going to come in, and he's not going to get the number 1 corner, right? Probably going to get the third, or the second. Safest bet would be a quick out or a quick slant. Game's on the line. Do we trust him? Yes. You. I mean, I don't know if you trust him with contact, but I think no, you can't. You can't go on my third down. But
Wilson, talk to me, because they see. You know what it is. You know what it is. They both of them are very consistent.
I got you.
When they get a little like shaky, it just starts glaring.
Hey, look, that's what I'm here for. I understand my place, and I'm here for it.
Talk to him, Wilson, because you see him lying to me, and it's hurting my feelings.
You want to know why? You want to know why you can't? You want to know why you can't trust him? And why I was laughing at the Will Fuller thing, because I would say Will Fuller's a little bit more refined than this cat, right? I think Will would be, if this kid improves and gets refined, maybe. What I see is it's Miko at maybe a lesser frequency. It's somebody that tantalizes you and teases you with so many things they could be, but you don't trust them. You refuse to trust them because he may be so much like Ty. He's not Ty, and I will not go to him on third down. I will go to him sometimes. I have to routinely build up his confidence, but against the third corner, yes, I want that. Love the matchup, like you guys said. Even like think about it, the Chiefs use Miko. He's not allowed to do everything Ty does. It's just like, here, Miko, this is what you do. This plays for you, Miko. Oh, damn, you dropped it. Let's give you another one, Miko. Let's build up your confidence, buddy. Let's get you going. Because for them, you like option 3/4, but the advantage makes it unfair. Because against the third corner, how many third corners prepared to deal with it? Like somebody moving, like Justin G said. He's such, like, as soon as you talk about how he moved, I was like, bro, it's Miko. Like Miko, he don't like contact. Like, I only want to move in short area spaces and I can win. If I can't win, I'm down or the ball ain't hitting me. Like, I don't really want all that. I'm good.
Wilson,
yes, sir.
Wilson, you got to tell him that we didn't set this up. I did not. I was over here on my laptop. I just did a few little clicks, and for whatever reason, trust issues. But tell your audience, this is the first time I have ever met you, and we did not set that up.
Nah, we met this evening. Yeah, we met this evening.
Y'all was watching the same highlight film? Yeah.
Nah, I didn't need a highlight film.
No,
it's so bad. It was North Carolina. I saw him in Chiefs red the entire time. I was like, that's Miko, bro. I was like, it's so exciting and so tantalizing, but I'm good. I'm good. Like, I like you, but I don't like you enough to trust you. I like you as, like, if you're an addition, yes, I would love it. It's going to be great because you're never going, like you said, Justin G, earlier, like when we were talking about Powell, you're not even seeing the corner that Powell was seeing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then we're running screens. When we're running screens and stuff, there's still option 1 and option 2 you got to think about. You're still not thinking about me fully. So I can go do me, because if we're like, oh my gosh, what if we fake it and it goes to somebody more important than you? I'm going to be more worried about that. And that's literally Miko's life. He's just a luxury item for Kansas City. They're like, we got you just in case Sammy Watkins stops working. Like, just in case he gets defaulty, like, here's a Miko, here's some more speed. So everything's even. So when we want to get the ball to Travis, it doesn't shrink Travis's window. Like, at the end of the day, you move at a 4.3 frequency. Somebody, like, you got to respect it. I got to at least be aware of where your speedy little behind is at all times, right? Cool. I don't have to do you. But you got to know where I'm at. I do those motion. You already know safety's talking like, oh, where Miko going? Keep an eye on Ty, but where Miko going? You know what I'm saying? So it's that type of feel. So it's like, I like him like for what he is. I just think people got to remember, like, I think when Walters was talking about the Odell stuff, is like, chill out, because he's not that positive a wideout, like, at all. And I'm not mad at that. He is what he is. And I think it's going to be like this in the draft, like the next couple of years, where people are going to go, where you're going to project on a kid way too much because you saw something you fell in love with, and it's not them, like, as a whole. And you got to love with that trait with the ball in the air, like, oh my God, it's Odell. Nothing he does up to that point screams Odell. And that's not on Diane. I'm not mad at him. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. With that said, my man Lucian out here, he's got these questions. Lucian Anderson, and if I'm mispronouncing your name, please forgive me, sir. He had this for you guys. Who is your most underrated prospect at wide receiver? He also chimed in on Danny Brown. In my opinion, can't outrun defenders, but has good hands and all right route running. He easily gets tackled on hitch route type stuff. But the important thing, again, Lucian, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. We're going to do these more often. Look, man, this is the question that he has. So you guys feel free, get at it. Who's your most underrated prospect at wide receiver? I'm anxious to hear these, to say the least. Don't all speak at once.
You want to go first?
I got one.
For me? Oh, you got one? Go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny because we're talking about Diami Brown, but Emir Smith-Marset from Iowa is built a lot like Brown, and I think he probably has maybe as much speed, but much better catcher of the football. Like, I think I'm drafting him before I draft Brown because this kid can burn, but he can also elevate a little bit. He can make tough catches, and he doesn't mind getting tossed around. Like, people hit him, and he gets back up, hits him, gets back up. And, like, I think, when you play for Iowa, they throw the ball like 3 times a game. They're basically an option offense to it. You're like, you feel like you're watching his tape, and you're like, oh, like, I waited 60 minutes to see 4 reps. But the 4 reps that he ran, dude, I mean, the guy is good. Gets downfield easily against anybody and everybody. And I think he's pretty slight. I think he was like 6 feet, 186 or something. But, yeah, man, I think he put a 4.44 at his pro day. And I kind of felt like, these pro day times are a little inflated, but it looked legit. Like, on tape, I'm like, that's a 4.4s guy. I think he can be kind of what a lot of people think Diami Brown is. And I don't know where he'll get drafted. He might end up going like 2nd or 3rd round because the NFL actually likes him, but I have no idea. I just know that he's a good player.
Oh, come on, Wills. Well, do it again. Wills.
Look, I do this regularly. I told you it's a good over. I got to keep good habits, right? It's because I'm a petty person. I don't want to laugh and snicker during things, so that's why I mute myself. I'm trying to save myself. That's why I do it. So Justin Walters or Ray, where do you guys want to go? Which one want to jump in?
No, that's all Justin. I only watch film on people that Justin sends me because I have no idea. Yeah.
Okay, well, before you go, Justin, my bad. Before you go, Lucian wanted to share. His guy is Kadarius Toney in terms of underrated guy. So since we're sharing, you want to get that in? Go ahead, Justin.
For a name of a guy that we're not going to review, I'm gonna attempt to say the name. I'm sure I'll mess it up. Is Josh Imatorbhebhe.
Illinois.
Yeah, something like that. Illinois. And what's funny is just like Marset is, you watch these teams that no one watches, and you're like, this is the best player on the field. You know what I mean? I heard he's like a 47-inch vertical, explosive athlete, but he plays at Illinois. So you kind of just don't really watch it. So his 45 catches are as good as other guys' 75 catches. So you're in a bad situation, but he's an explosive athlete, and you just watch him, and you're like, this guy, he shouldn't be here. Same with the Iowa kid, Marset. You're like, this is a high D1 player, but you're playing at a school that's not really doesn't fit your strengths. They don't play to your strengths. So but the guy I really wanted to say was Dwayne Eskridge. I love that kid. I love Western Michigan, not 5'9", maybe 5'9". I don't know what he runs, but he looks like he's running 4.3.
He put it 4.3s at his pro day, but everyone did.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, like his 4.3 was better, but in his one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl, he destroyed guys. It just, again, not to kill our one fans write up, but when I watched him and Tony both run their one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl, I felt like he was running routes, and Tony was kind of doing others. Tony was getting open, and I felt like Eskridge was running routes. Both, each one has their strengths, but I just feel like he's an explosive athlete. He can get open outside and inside. He's tougher. He used to play corner, so he's a tough player. But I just think Eskridge is going to be a good player. He'll probably work his way in the top 50, in my opinion.
Think so, yeah.
All right, mine's probably pretty consistent. I've been here for quite a while. Hasn't changed in probably almost a whole year. Tamori and Terry. I know people don't like people that come out of college that are actually older than 21. Some folks treat it like it's the worst thing in the world in professional drafts. This is a kid who he was sabotaged by committing to that school and playing with whoever was under center the entire time. It was bad. This is one of the classic cases of big, strong, fast, and I have no clue what to do with him at all. I think this is a guy in the right situation. We talk about some of those guys that just move different. 6'4", 203, and he doesn't move like he's a heavy guy. He can get up. He can get vertical fast. I think he's solid. Obviously, still needs some things to work on. But if I was a guy that was going to gamble on something where I'm already good at the wide receiver room, and I want to get if something low risk, high reward, it's one of those boomer bust type things where at worst you got a 6'4" guy who can maybe be a possession guy with a little bit more, but the speed's legit. I think it was 4.4 at the pro day. It looks like he's leaving people. That's consistent. The ball doesn't always get there. It's not his fault. It's a guy that the yards per catch are up there with somebody smaller and far faster. And again, at that size, like you guys were talking about earlier with somebody like Chase, if you wanted to just throw something up to a guy, he's already 6'4". He doesn't have to pretend to be 6'4". He's already 6'4". Obviously probably needs to get a little stronger. 203 at 6'4" is probably not the greatest, but that's what weight rooms are for. And also, I'm not mad at you, Brad. I don't know. I probably wouldn't have finished my time doing my bit at Florida State with what you were going through because it was horrible. It was really, really bad. But yeah, that was my guy. I'm telling Justin early, and it's probably been consistent. And I like a lot of the other wide receivers in this class, but that's the guy where I feel like, say somebody that knows what they're doing gets him. Everybody's be like, oh my God, how did they get him? Why did he fall? Because he didn't play college football with a quarterback.
Yeah.
He was just there.
He kind of reminds me of Marquez Valdez-Scantling with Green Bay.
I love that. Actually, like another
speedy, big, not always the best catcher, but has value for sure.
Yeah, and if Valdez-Scantling can get drafted, and I think his hands are worse than Terry's. Sorry, Green Bay fans. Y'all know it. That boy stay open and stay not catching stuff. So yeah, that's what I'm going with that. But we're pretty much on time. Thank you guys for hanging with us tonight. So for Justin, Raymond, myself, this has been the first episode of NFL Ruckus. We look forward to these, and even I know the draft is like literally a couple weeks away or whatnot. So the fun thing about this, we can continue to do this prospect thing because some of y'all, when you get excited on drafting, you have no idea who your team picked. So this is still going to matter. It's fine. We could like the same thing we're talking about in terms of the fit, the versatility, all that stuff. It still applies. To kind of give you an idea of was your being excited actually warranted, or should you just be sad because your team's bad and they did bad team things yet again? So we'll keep you guys posted on that. Got other positions to get through. Y'all have a great evening. Thanks for hanging with us tonight.